DETV News is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.
Hello, my name is Lauren Wilson, and welcome to a special series of shows brought to you by DETV. In these troubled times, there are people who see a problem and come up with a solution. They often are the solution, and that's why DETV calls them everyday angels. Angels come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. There are angels among us, and in this series, we'll introduce you to just a few. You may know some. They are our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues at work. Our first angel for the evening is a preschool special education teacher at the Colonial School District's Early Education Program in Newcastle, better known as SEEP. You might just recognize her as Delaware's former Teacher of the Year. Rebecca Vitelli earned her master's degree in education and exceptional children and youth with a concentration in autism and severe disabilities. She's active in her school and in her community. As a member of the Colonial District Supporting Teachers Effectiveness Project and the Delaware Early Childhood Council, she has often advocated for students and children throughout the state by writing to legislators regarding various educational issues. In addition to being selected the 2020 Delaware Teacher of the Year, she was also recognized as one of 40 leaders under 40 by the Delaware Business Time. Please welcome Rebecca Vitelli. Rebecca, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
You've been a phenomenal teacher. You've had a phenomenal career, but you're just starting out. How long have you been a teacher?
Yeah. This is my 6th year teaching at the Colonial Early Education Program. So like you mentioned, I graduated from the University of Delaware. I student taught right next door at Leach. I fell in love with that inclusion model and with working with the youngest learners. And when I got out of grad school, there was an opening at Colwick and I went there and I've just never left since. So yeah, this is my 6th year teaching inclusion preschool at SEEP.
What inspired you to even become a teacher?
Yeah, so I get asked that question so often, and it's funny because I didn't always want to be a teacher. However, I grew up in a household where education was always really valued. Both my parents were educators, so my mom taught reading in like upper state New York, and my dad taught for over 30 years in Brooklyn and the Bronx. So I really grew up in a household where education was valued and celebrated, and I saw the impact of teaching, but I necessarily didn't want to go into it because honestly, for me growing up, like school was really stressful, right? Mm-hmm. Like to get the grades I wanted and to get, what I was hoping for, I really had to work so hard, and it became a lot about like anxiety and like that perfectionist performance rather than like loving to learn and like being okay with making mistakes. So as a child, I grew up loving to learn, but not always loving school. But I did have a passion for working with the youngest learners, and through lots of volunteer opportunities and my first summer job where I worked as a paraeducator, I fell in love with working with young kids, and I knew, hey, this is what I have to do. And I ended up going to University of Delaware specifically for their early childhood programs. I really knew the youngest learners are who had my heart, and it's kind of why my classroom, I think, looks and feels the way it does. I want learning to be fun. I want it to be joyful. I want children to know there is no one way to learn, or that learning looks like this, because you learn in so many different ways. It is hands-on, it's messy, it's active, and I want them to love learning, love school, and love themselves. And it's just that transformational age where you get to really create that love of school, hopefully for the rest of their lives.
Why do you think it's so important to start with the preschool?
For so many reasons. I mean, if you've ever talked to the 3 and 4-year-olds, they just like really fill up your energy cup. I mean, they just look at the entire world around them and they are so curious, they're so creative, and they're just coming into themselves and ask those questions. They want to know the world around them. But when you look at the brain science, I mean, 90% of the brain is developed by age 5. So the amount of neural pathways that we are, like every single moment that you are working with those youngest learners, you are wiring connections to make the brain able and willing to learn. And like, what a powerful time in a child's life to be able to, you know, do high quality learning and teach them, again, not just those, you know, those pre-academic skills, but also just like what it means to be a human in our world, you know, what it means to, you know, handle emotions and be safe, kind, and helpful, and how you can do that and get along in a group. And it's just, I always say that preschool is like a magical age, because it truly is. It is just, everything about them is developing at such a tremendous rate, and you have so much impact to wire their brain and their resiliency.
You also have to deal with the social emotional side of
Yes.
these very young people.
Yes.
How do you do that?
We always say little people, big feelings, right? Because that, you know, but it's real, right? And everyone has big feelings, and including myself. And the way that we look at it is, it's part of life, right? Like, we are all gonna have feelings, and they're all valid. We just need to know what to do with those feelings. And that's really important to be a member of society, is to know, you know, how to regulate yourself and your emotions, and how do you get along with others, and how do you take turns, and how do you handle disappointment, and how do you problem solve, because we problem solve every day. But all of these are skills that we teach in our youngest learners. And for me, part of my platform as Delaware Teacher of the Year was, of course, advocating for high quality early childhood programs for our students, but also it had to do with social emotional learning and really teaching to the whole child. And I think, you know, with the pandemic, you know, social emotional learning has really come to the forefront, right? And I hope that it just stays, because it should always be. I mean, you know, a child is not able to learn until they are loved, until they feel safe, until they feel connected, and that's when they're able to learn. And, you know, you create that by, you know, creating that school family in that classroom, by teaching those emotions and skills. And I think, you know, we're very easy to teach math, right? Like a kid, you know, if someone's struggling with math, we just take them aside and we teach them. We're very easy to teach reading. Oh, you're struggling, we'll pull you aside to work, we'll work with that. We're very quick to dismiss when someone has a big feeling or is having a hard time. Then it's like, we pull you out, we do something different. It's, you know, we get anxious ourselves, and really it's part of life, right? Like, it's like, they need to know these skills, and it's a huge opportunity. Every moment of conflict, every moment of big feelings is an opportunity to teach a skill that maybe children are lacking. Just like we teach academics, you know, you have to teach how to handle your feelings, how to handle your, you know, the conflict and the things not always going your way, which is hard, and waiting your turn, which is also hard. But it's powerful. I mean, and we do it all day long. We use a program called Conscious Discipline in our school, which is a program that's really near and dear to my heart. It's really transformed the way I, you know, as an educator respond, but also just as a human respond to the world around me. And the beauty of, you know, that program is it's adult first, right? Like, you are not going to be able to help a child regulate if you yourself are not regulated and calm and can recognize the different sides of a situation. So it's been a really powerful program. But also just for children, you know, it's every day. You know, people always ask me, so when do you do that? From the moment they step through the door to the moment they're getting on the bus or in their family's car, like, we are teaching. And then we're also helping the families learn that language and that vocab, you know, so that they can work on these skills at home. Because I always say, you know, just because they can solve problems in our four walls doesn't mean, you know, that we're meeting our goal. We want them to be successful everywhere.
And you talked about the social emotional part, and then you talked a little bit about the pandemic. How difficult, how challenging was it to teach those youngsters remotely and to keep their attention? Yeah,
so you know, everyone always, when they were like, preschool online, what does that look like? Like, what did you do? And, you know, I have to say, like, I was truly blessed. I had a group of families that were so dedicated, so passionate, so excited. For me, it was a huge learning experience, right? Because I mean, I didn't sign up to teach preschool online. I didn't know what I was doing, just like everyone else. You know, we were figuring out the best we could. But what we decided to do was teach as if we were in person, right? Like, I wasn't super worried about pulling up all these gadgets and making, you know, it super virtual. Like, I was teaching and talking to them like I would if we were sitting on the rug and they were sitting in front of me. I worked really hard, with my school team to create materials that we got to send home to families so that they had those manipulatives and those visuals, especially with students with special needs who require just a little bit more support to stay engaged with visuals and props and different tools like that. So we worked really hard, we got really creative, but I have to tell you, it was a really eye-opening experience for me because we talk about family involvement as being important, right? I mean, I think as educators, everyone knows, like, oh, of course, family involvement, the more involved families are, the better. Mm-hmm. But to actually have the gift that is to see families every day for instruction and to coach them was tremendously impactful. And for me, walking away from virtual teaching, I felt empowered because I empowered families to work with their child. And, I had families that were like, I had no idea that my child could do this or communicate this. And it also showed me that, hey, we have room to grow here. Like, yes. How can we better our family mm-hmm. involvement, right? Because I do think, especially with our youngest learners with special needs, families need help, yes. right? They need to know, like, what is a schedule? I know they have a communication system, but really, like, how do I use this throughout the day? How do I use timers? How do I help? And to be able to, be invited into their home every day and coach them through that, we developed such strong relationships. And I got to see a lot of family growth, and I'm doing, the best we can. Of course, it's only have so many hours in a day, so it's harder to, squeeze all that in. But I think family coaching is a huge thing in education, especially early childhood special education, that I really took away from that experience is being,
Now, all of that passion that you have led up to you being named the 2020 Teacher of the Year. What kind of experience was that? We saw your picture there on the lawn outside of the. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it honestly has been a whirlwind, right? From the moment I was named, till finishing up my term of service, it was just tremendous. And for me, I think beyond, shock and surprise, and still can't believe it, I truly do think what an honor it was to be recognized, because I got, it's not my story, I think, that necessarily is the one that gets to be shared, but it's the story of my students. It's the, spotlight is on our youngest learners, it's on the students with special needs, it's on our families, it's on the Colonial School District. I mean, it was just such a humbling moment, but a moment that, I took, what a chance to elevate these voices that are not often heard, and also just to elevate other educator voices as well during this time. So it's just been truly surreal to be able to, advocate for high quality early childhood programs, to be in the room where things happen and to be able to have a voice at the table to talk about, these programming and social emotional learning. And having honors like going to the White House and, meeting the First Lady and, hearing President Biden speak to you and, congratulate us for all our hard work. And I mean, it's been a really honoring, humbling experience, but I try with everything to bring someone with me through the, so many doors open, right? But I try to bring others with me because, it's not just me that got here. I got here because of the people that helped me, and also because of my students and because of the families that I work with and because of my school and the teaching team and Colonial. So it's just been a huge opportunity, I think, to celebrate education and to highlight, the passionate educators in early childhood education.
Well, truly the children are the ones who are getting the gift in a teacher like you, and we want to congratulate you. You were the youngest
couldn't be younger,
in the country. Yes. And that had to be amazing too.
Yes, truly humbling, surreal, and again, it's something that you get nervous, right? You're like, how am I here amongst everyone? But as someone told me, you know what, just because you're young doesn't mean your voice is not powerful. And I think of that when I think of my students, just because they're young doesn't mean their voice is not powerful. It's very powerful. And they deserve to be heard and celebrated. And so that's kind of what this year I was able to do. And it was great.
Well, Rebecca, we want to thank you for coming in. We want to thank you for being an everyday angel, because that's what you are to so many children and to the Colonial School District. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your holidays.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you. Up next, we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with one other everyday angel. So stay tuned.
Let DART do the driving. DART First State provides transportation that is clean, safe, reliable, and affordable. Plan your trip and get real-time bus information with the free DART Transit app. Scan your phone to pay your fare with the free DART Pass app. So what are you waiting for? Try transit today. Visit dartfirststate.com or call 1-800-652-DART.
This message is brought to you by Newcastle County Government.
While we have vaccines that are highly effective, some folks are non-vaxxers, and I get that, but at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about that 5-year-old, that 6-year-old that don't have any options. Should they get infected and you be unable to hold their hand in the ICU simply because you chose not to be vaccinated, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Welcome back to Everyday Angels. And right now we have an everyday angel who's going to represent an everyday angel, someone who's been in the community. Miss Brandi Neal, we want to welcome you to our program. You are the Artistic Director at the Christina Cultural Arts Center. That has been an everyday angel for, what did we say, 76 years here in the city of Wilmington, and has had a huge impact on everyone. Tell me why you believe the center itself has been such a focal point in our community.
So first, thank you so much for having us, and we are honored that our community thinks that we are everyday angels. The mission of Christina Cultural Arts Center is to change the trajectory of a child's life by making affordable arts, education, career pathways, gallery exhibitions, live performances accessible to all in a welcoming environment. So I think that we've become, and we still are and continue to be, an everyday angel because we do just that. We offer quality programming. We offer opportunities for young people to explore the arts and have what we call artistic aha moments, whether it be through a class that they take with our School of the Arts program, whether it be through arts exploration that they participate in with our after-school program, whether it be through career exploration that they participate in through our paid internship program. So just really pushing the arts and the idea that creative expression is healing and empowering and moving.
And why do you think it's so important to start at a young age?
Wow. Well, I like to speak for myself because I would not be at Christina Cultural Arts Center if I was not myself an artist. At the age of 8 years old, I was at Kaumba Academy, Christina Cultural Arts Center's sister school, and my predecessor, meaning the person who was the artistic director before me, came into my class, my 3rd grade class, and announced that there was going to be a poetry contest. So little shy me, I wrote this poem that never was submitted to the poetry contest. But from that moment on, I fell in love with poetry. I went on to college to study communication arts, and now I'm giving back to the same very community that helped inspire me and help me fall in love with the arts. So it's important to start at a young age because, again, people use art in different ways. The art can be self-care. Art can ultimately put a student or a young person on a path to where their future leads. Art can also be healing. Life is not always easy. So to at a young age learn to address those social and emotional issues through the arts makes it a better alternative than some of the other alternatives that are out there.
Now, you're a young mom. You have a 3-year-old at home. Have you already started introducing him to the arts?
Of course. Those who know my son knows he is my mini me. He looks just like me and acts just like me. He is a singer, dancer, Delaware's next triple threat. And of course, I mean, when you work at Christina Culture Arts Center, I mean, every single one of our staff members has nieces, cousins, daughters, sons that participate in class. So in fact, this is a good time for me to plug our School of the Arts, where we offer classes in various types of dance, voice, various instruments, as well as drama. We have registration opening this Friday on December 17th. So for the first time, now that my son is 3-year-old, we start at 3, I'm going to be signing him up for early childhood movement classes with the same instructor that I was under way back when I took classes at Christina.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Now, what do you say to parents, especially those who are working parents, maybe single parents, who say, you know, I'm busy enough trying to get to work, get my kid to school. I don't see where the arts fit in. How do you reach that parent to inspire them, encourage them to bring their children into the center?
I would definitely say, number one, first and foremost, it takes a village to raise a child. And as parents, we have to be gatekeepers for our child's village. We have to be intentional about who we ask and who we allow to be in that village. And when you're talking about something like the arts, and you're talking about the arts at Christina Culture Arts Center, by allowing your child to participate, you're increasing that village. You're creating a relationship between your child and an instructor in an art form that they're interested in and passionate about, and allowing them to pour into your child. Again, from there, the sky is the limit. This can help them determine what they want to be when they grow up. This can be a coping mechanism for them when they hit the bumps in the road that life sometimes offers. It really just, the sky's the limit. And it's just so important that, especially at a young age and even as children grow older, that we continue to prioritize the arts for all the great that comes from participation in the arts.
And what about those who can't afford those extra classes, the dance, the instrumental, the whatever?
That's my favorite question, because at Christina Culture Arts Center, our tuition for our School of the Arts classes is income-based. So you will only pay what you are able to pay, and you will still be getting the same quality, affordable classes as everyone else.
Give us some examples of some of the classes that you offer the children.
Where do I begin? Of course. So in dance, we offer hip hop, ballet, jazz, tap, acro. Drama, we have early childhood drama. This semester, we are offering a drama class for teens, young adults, and adults. So we have a lot of talented actors and actresses in Delaware who need a place where they can refine those skills. Christina Culture Arts Center is the best place to go. We also offer praise dance. We offer voice lessons. We offer instrument lessons in piano, brass and woodwinds, guitar, whether that be electric, acoustic, and we also offer drum lessons as well.
And you also have a lot of special programs. Some of them come up every year. Some of them are just favorites that everyone looks forward to. Tell me about that.
Are you talking about our Carols in Color? Absolutely. So unfortunately, this year we will not be hosting Carols in Color here in Delaware, but rest assured, we still have everyone covered. We are sponsoring a bus trip to the Philadelphia performances. Our bus trip will take place this Sunday. The bus departs from Christina Culture Arts Center at 1 p.m. and will take all of the riders to the venue. A ticket is also included with each bus passenger. Children 12 and under are free. Now, when you go on the website, you will see that you have to pay for those students. But again, our mission at Christina Culture Arts Center is to make the arts affordable and accessible. So children under 12 are free. If you are over 12, you have to pay $35, but that includes your Carols in Color ticket as well as your ride to the venue.
Describe the Carols in Color program for those who aren't familiar with it.
Oh my, I don't know that there are words to describe it. It is essentially a musical that combines dance, song, almost poetry in motion to tell the story of Christ's birth from the perspective of St. Matthew.
And I know that other than Carols in Color, and that's a biggie, you have other programs and you ask the community to support the center. So tell me about that.
Absolutely. So we do have special events. We're still confirming and putting together our performance season, especially because this is our first performance season back since the pandemic. So I can't give out any spoilers tonight, but I want everyone to make sure you are following us on social media and you're checking our website periodically at ccacde.org, because again, we've been quiet for some time due to the pandemic. We're looking forward to coming back bigger and better this year. I will say that one staple program that we have that will never go away, of course, is our School of the Arts end of the year recital that we have every June. We are looking forward to being back full force. We did have a show last year. This year, we're hoping to be back at the Grand Opera House
in person,
yes, and to put on an amazing show for the community that has loved on us and supported us so much.
Everyone was affected by the pandemic. How did it hit the center?
Wow. Unfortunately, there was a short period of time where we had to close our doors. Considering that we have our Early Childhood Education Arts Academy at Christina Cultural Arts Center, it was hard for them because the preschool students then had to go on virtual. One thing that we stayed steadfast in under the direction of our executive director, James Ray Rhodes, is that all program went virtual. So the preschool was able to still have story time with their teachers. Our internship program was still able to have their virtual weekly meetings where they worked on career development projects. Our interns were still able to be employed. We were still able to provide that opportunity of employment for them during the pandemic, which was a big deal. The School of the Art classes went virtual. And, we tried to get creative because everyone was stuck in the house, especially towards the beginning of the pandemic. So we offered free demos on our social media page where you might just click it and here we are doing a yoga class or we're doing a movement class. So we try to do a lot of things just to keep the community engaged. We even had movie nights. I remember one event that stuck out to me when the Clark sisters biopic came out. Mm-hmm. We all sat together on Zoom and watched it and discussed it. So we really tried to keep the arts alive and keep Christina Cultural Arts Center on the forefront while we were all still stuck in the house and needed that creative outlet.
And now that you're back, one of the things that is really, really important is your after-school program, because you do keep kids off of the street.
Absolutely. Our Heart Under the Hoodie program was actually inspired by the unfortunate murder of Trayvon Martin. And it was created as a youth gun violence prevention program to give students an artistic alternative to what a lot of our city youth have succumbed to after school, which is hanging out, participating in activities that are negative. Our after-school program provides yoga, dance. They work with the Cultural Restoration Project under the direction of Richard Raw and exploring art through songwriting. They also do yoga. They also have different workshops, whether that be on coding, on how to properly handle conflict. They really are just getting the opportunity to see the world through a different lens, which is much better than what they could be doing if they were not in some structured programming.
Now, in case someone's been living under a rock and doesn't know where the center is, let's talk about that. And again, tell people how they can get in touch and get their kids engaged with the Christina Cultural Arts Center.
All right, perfect. So we are located right on the Market Street Mall at 705 North Market Street, Wilmington, Delaware. We are unfortunately not necessarily open to the public. You do have to ring the buzzer to come in the building, but as long as you state, I'm here to ask a question or I need more information, we will be glad to assist you expeditiously with that. Our most up-to-date source of information would definitely be our Facebook page, which is CCACDE. You can also visit our website, ccacde.org, or you can give us a call at 302-652-0101.
And just real briefly, are there COVID restrictions in place?
Oh, absolutely. You must wear a mask. Unless you were drinking or eating, you must wear a mask. And you must remain social distance. And we have markers throughout the center so you can ensure that you are maintaining your distance.
Well, Brandi, I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank you personally for being an everyday angel. And I want to thank the center itself for being an everyday angel, because it truly has been. You've been an inspiration. You started as a child and now you're a leader there at the center. So we couldn't be more proud of you. Thanks again for everything that you do.
And thank you, because you are an everyday angel as well. I know that you started on Channel 6 Action News, and it has been my pleasure to even just sit here with you. I feel like I've made it. So thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I am humbled, and I appreciate that. And I have to say that Brandi and I are both members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and we are just so proud of that as well. We want to say to all of you, thank you for joining us for Everyday Angels. There are people in this community who make a lot of difference, and that's why we want to highlight them here on DETV. Thanks again for joining us.
DETV News is sponsored by New Castle County Government.